BooBaes. BooBaes.
Hello and welcome
To
BooBaes,
BooBaes.
the podcast.
Yes. Where we talk about scary things.
Yeah, and
Specifically
boobs.
Movies. Oh, yeah, because they're nice.
We will be talking about boobs today.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
That's right, and we are your host.
So today,
But
we're talking about Halloween,
we are.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
the movie.
We watched this on Shudder.
Yes, we sure did. Comes in handy for all of your
Shudder.
horror fanatics.
Come on,
You get to see a lot of different scary movies, international movies.
a lot of classics. So, like, I noticed that
Classics.
Poltergeist is on there now. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's always been, but
Shudder originals,
yeah, a lot of the Shudder originals are really good.
honestly.
There's a few that I've watched that, they just had an interesting looking cover. And I was like, damn, I'm
Click.
so glad I clicked on this. Yeah. I judged that book by its cover and I was not disappointed.
A lot of the times, too, with horror, too, you just got to let that journey ride. You just got to go with
Yeah.
it.
Because horror is so hit or miss, as
Mhm.
we found out.
It can be a little convoluted,
Yeah.
but there's some gems in there,
There is.
specifically
Halloween.
Halloween! Which I actually do enjoy.
original,
I really
yes.
do enjoy. Yes, the original, not the remake, or the remake, or the remake, or the
or the
reimagined, or the reimagined
or
remake.
Rob Zombie's
Or, yeah.
side show.
Yeah, Hillbilly Sideshow.
Yeah.
So 1978. Are we just gonna dive into the movie? How we open up, or
Yeah.
So the movie starts out. What is it? 1963, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
15
Whenever.
years prior.
And it starts out with that, what is supposed to be, I really love the first person point of view
Oh yeah.
there. I thought that was great. And then considering how it was low budget and they needed
This movie was filmed on like 300,000.
300,000,
Literally.
300 to 320,000.
Yeah.
And then Pleasant or whatever his name is, who plays the doctor,
Donald. Is it Donald? No. Something. I know. I have
is
actually
written down.
Mm-hmm. No, I've got it.
Anyways, his 20,000 of that budget
Went to-
was for his
Yeah.
pay.
Donald
And-
Pleasance.
And he
exactly.
shot for
Yes.
5 days. That's
Yeah.
it. For a total of like 18 minutes of screen time. And this motherfucker.
Literally, and we will get into his
mean, he
performance.
is-
He sold the movie.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
And so I just thought, I was like, wow, 20,000 of that 30,000 went for him. He made $20,000 in 5 days.
And and starting off and talking about the beginning, just like John Carpenter, the way that he made the music too, composed the music.
So
and the
as
opening.
and as we talked about, because I remember when we did The Exorcist, I heard the song as homegirl's like rounding the corner, and before she runs into or overhears the two priests talking, it has a very similar theme, and I immediately
vibes.
was like, is the Halloween theme song and this the same thing? But no, that one is Tubular Bells, and it is like 5 seconds of this like 59-minute song.
Yeah.
that really goes on.
Reminds you of this.
Yes, and then this, John Carpenter actually made it in 5/4 time, which is apparently a not as common time signature. And that what kind of gives it that
off-putting, like
Yeah.
unsettling, something's astir.
And so even with the music too, just the sound of everything in the beginning, like, because then it was like that high pitched, like dissonant humming.
Yeah.
I feel like that really added and
To the
made you be like,
ambiance.
ugh, this is starting to stress me the fuck out.
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
something's got to happen.
It's definitely that expand and release, like giving you that like edge of your seat kind of feeling. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like something is off here. And then too, starting off with that first
Needing
POV.
resolution.
With the little Michael Myers and 6-year-old body, like
Mm-hmm.
that's a pretty good, like, I don't feel at that time, especially 1978, of course there wasn't really, like, it's just artistically such a great decision to make.
And it looked like it was single take. It turns out it wasn't. It was actually 3 takes. And it took him 2 days to film this specific
scene.
point of view scene. Yeah. So there's the one scene where, like, there's a cut where the mask, I think, goes on.
Yes.
And then there's a cut when the mask is taken off. But so that's like the 3 different parts.
Okay. Yeah,
and then the hand, they didn't have the child actor until like the last day. And so the hand is actually a woman's hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just her name's.
Good little fun fact.
Yeah, and so they like if you look closely, the nails are really manicured and stuff. And
I'll have to look at it again. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for some reason they couldn't get him until the last day, and so that I thought was really funny. I was like, oh, how weird.
But yeah. So we open up. Michael's killing his sister, Judith Myers, as she's having a little
weird topless hair brushing.
Yeah, weird.
And
very, like,
not even a good sexual encounter.
Does a girl?
I don't. I never just walk around with my titties out.
It's boobies.
Like no. I never sit there and I'm like, let me brush my hair with my boobs. Also, because if your hair's long enough, that brush is gonna brush your boob, and that's gonna kind of hurt. Like scratch your nipple open.
Horror movie though, any excuse to have some boobs
titties.
Out.
Yeah.
You know, it's also the 70s, so
that's
it's
true.
Like...
And I mean, in true
and
slasher,
the way she's like, Michael.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that no.
I'd be like, get your out of here.
Ass out. I've been mad. Yeah, I would have been freaking out. Like, literally.
Little brother.
Also,
with a knife.
Homegirl didn't even get some. Like, why is he leaving in the middle?
It was so fast.
Yeah, like, her tits are out and he leaves. Like, what kind of man are you? Not into women, I guess.
Or you never know. Nowadays,
maybe he's closeted. Who knows? It wasn't as acceptable then.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So,
which is dumb. But
that's a whole thing. And then she ends up being murdered.
Or maybe he just couldn't get it up.
This
doesn't normally happen.
Or he just like one of those situations where it's like he just he's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
It's good that he left though. I mean, he lived because of it.
Yeah, true.
Must have felt real guilty afterwards though. Like, damn, I didn't even get to dick her.
Literally. Or maybe he didn't. He just came really fast.
Yeah.
And that
too pumped.
Even in itself is just not ideal.
No, it is not. Had it happen multiple times.
Well.
Never went back.
When we're talking about horror movies from the 70s.
Yep.
Sex. A little killer kids. And then he steps outside and then they're like, again, Michael.
Yeah, his parents are weird. Like,
and
why?
The way that the mom is just like,
she's standing there. Like she's disappointed. Like he like.
He just ate from the cookie jar
or something. Not like he just stabbed their daughter to death.
Literally.
They stood there way too long.
At that point, they don't know, but
well, he's got a blood-covered knife in his hand. You can assume.
Oh my God! Did
I
you
feel
get
like
into the raspberry marmalade again?
I would have been like, "What the fuck?" And like, literally. I would have. No, I don't understand why they were just chilling there like that. It is a little bit silly, but yes. So that sets the scene, and then we fast forward 15 years to 78.
Yeah.
Is that math?
It takes place in the same year that it was, released.
In Haddonfield,
Illinois,
which is a fictional place, and it was actually filmed in California.
Wow!
In the spring. So
the more you know.
There's
the
palm trees in certain shots.
Yeah.
And then all the trees are very full. And what they did is they got a bunch of fake leaves, painted them in fall colors, and then would just scatter them throughout the film set.
Yeah,
but then they would collect them.
The same leaves.
Yes, to save money and go to the next film, the next set and scatter them again.
I love that.
They
on a budget.
This movie is so on a budget. Everyone wore their own clothing. There was no costume. Design set at all.
Sure. Oh, fun fact. They spent $1 on the mask for Michael Myers.
Yes,
it's a William Shatner mask.
It is. That's been
spray painted white.
Yeah.
And they cut the eyes out.
sideburns ripped off. And they also gave him the option. They were going to go with a clown mask that had like red hair that was supposed to pay tribute to the fact that his 6-year-old was a clown. But yeah, they decided. But
this is way better.
Yes.
It's a William Shatner mask, you guys.
Which is so weird. That's such a fun fact.
When I learned that, I was like, oh. And then you, like, after you learn it, you're like, oh, yeah. I see that.
You see this now.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's iconic. And so honestly, they did a great job with it. It is.
It's on people's bodies.
It's right there.
People literally have tattoos. There's literally a cultistic film following of this whole franchise, There
is.
And it inspired so many other things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jamie Lee spent $100 on her entire. She went to JCPenney and she bought all of her outfits for $100, and like that was. So she got to costume design herself, which is kind of cool. But the fact that like these people had to wear their own clothes,
literally,
because they couldn't afford it, is just like, this is wild.
I love how they were all, but I feel too like, that kind of like, dedication into the project, like, is ultimately what made it such a good film. Like everybody was just like, we don't have any money, but let's just make this
gonna try
something
real
good.
hard.
Yeah. And so I think that is what really also added to the whole longevity of that. It's still, even to this day, like rewatching it for myself, at least, I like was sitting there just like, man, this is some good shit.
It is. It really is.
Good shit. Like, and then for 1978 too, and just, I don't know, man.
And to be like the catalyst and
literally.
the starter of, well, it's
Of
obviously
what,
not the first
there was
slasher,
a few slasher before, but that's just really what like took, like, it's still to this day one of like the largest grossing movies.
Yes, because of how low of the budget it was.
Yeah.
It is still, yes, one of the highest grossing movies of all time because of, because they only
But that's the thing, it doesn't matter even if like other movies make so much more money because of how expensive they were. It's the fact that like we literally spent $3 on this in terms of how movies are made, like, and made so much
and
more
made
money.
a masterpiece.
Literally.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It helps that, John Carpenter also, like, so not only did he direct and write the music, at I think one point, so Michael was played by 6 different people as well, depending on who was available, and John Carpenter being one of them at some point. So like The Shape was played by different people.
Which is,
but yeah, it was literally,
Michael Myers is also known as The Shape.
Yes.
We should let people know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Sure.
But yeah, and I just thought it was funny because they were just like, okay, who can put on the mask today? Like,
yeah, for real.
Okay, your turn.
Yeah.
Go out.
And I think the main guy, Nick Castle, I think he made like $25 a day.
Yes, $25
$25 a day just to put that on and be filmed.
Which is like, damn, son, you should have made a lot more.
Literally.
Homeboy over here is making $20,000.
Got a little
he's not
gypped
even
there.
the main character.
Got a little gypped. Oh man. But it's so good too. And then just going on into we'll talk about it later, but just even the mannerisms that they all like give into the life of Michael, like, and how it makes you feel just like, man, this really is the boogeyman.
Yeah. Man, he was creepy, and Jamie Lee was staying rather calm.
Honestly,
up until
the end of the climax of like everything happening.
Well, I mean, she was not like questioning it, I feel like, enough as I would. Like, if I saw that staring at me once, I'd be like, I think the fuck not.
The fact that she saw it in so many places.
Yeah, and didn't even like really like appear scared until the scene when she's in her bedroom and looks down into her neighbor's yard with the laundry and sees him. And that's like the first time she's like, okay, this is weird. And I'm like, girl, you saw him like 80 other times. You should be freaked the fuck out.
Literally. But even then, she was still playing it too chill for me. And the fact that too is like, she's looking out the window and he's there, and then like she's still looking at him and he's gone. It's like, you don't even stop looking.
He's a ghost.
Like, literally, it's a glitch.
Yeah.
But that also too is just like in itself to the character, like the fact that he's like, he's there 1 second and literally gone the next. Like, where'd he go?
Gives it almost a supernatural vibe. You don't know where he's gonna be. And it also, I feel like, adds to the fact that he can't be killed because well, is he living? I mean, as the ending shows us, homeboy got shot like 5 times
in the head, bleeding. Like,
and then he's just like, psych.
Yeah, literally.
I'm out gonna go kill some more people in a few years.
We'll get there, but there are so many things. Yeah. So and let's so opening up these friends that Lori has. Horrible friends. Yeah, like, honestly I'm watching this and I'm like, well, I could that's Annie and the blonde girl. What's her name again?
Lan. I just know Annie.
Well, the blonde girl. You don't need a book. I never have my books. I never take my math book home. I always forget my science book. Who really needs books?
Who needs
chemistry,
it?
literally. And I really feel like they were trying to give her, I guess, that Valley Girl kind of like totally like vibe. She was all right. She was okay. She wasn't necessarily that bad, but it was the way that Annie kept like being like, "Bitch, you need to get laid." Yeah. Like, can you get some dick?
Like, leave her alone.
Literally.
Linda.
There we go. Listen, Linda. Yeah, no, it's the fact that she literally like would not stop harping her about like being just a nice little schoolgirl, staying in her books. I'm like, let Lori be. She don't want to die.
And not everyone wants to do what y'all do. Yeah, it's interesting how the movie became almost fixated on the fact that like, because even Carpenter has talked about himself. He's like, I didn't mean for this to be like essentially a narrative of like horny kids get killed.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not really what we were going for. He was just like, they were so preoccupied and wrapped up in the idea of sex and being with the other person that they like couldn't even inhibitions
think
or
all about the signs of the bad things. And that's what I got from
They're just
Lori
not aware.
whenever whenever she's with Tommy already and Annie calls her on the phone is telling her how like I forgot which boy, Bobby or something. Paul.
Or wait, Bobby Newman.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm gonna set. I told him that you were so into him, you're gonna like have a date with him or whatever. And Tommy sees Michael outside, and he's like, I saw the boogeyman, and he's trying to tell her I see the boogeyman, and she's like. She's so distracted by this conversation
that she's not listening.
Yeah, and then she's like looks and she's like, "There's nobody there," but she's so distracted by the conversation that she doesn't even remember that she's literally been like stalked by this guy all day.
Yeah, this phantom
but she's
man.
so like into like, oh my god, why would you tell him that? You know. So it really, I do get that. It's very much like adds into the movie about like
it is accurate because when you're a teenager and when you're in high school,
those are the things like.
Well, yes, and your emotions and everything is like times a billion, and that's like what you can.
You're not really as rational.
Yeah, that's all you can think about. It's everything is like. It's all encompassing, and you're like, this is my life. Yeah. I will die if I don't have this person. Overly dramatic. And so it's understandable that they're wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
Because I remember being the same way in high school.
Literally.
So I'm like, I get it. That makes sense. And I see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But yeah, not meant to be just horny kids getting killed.
Art imitates life, right?
That's funny. I loved it. Anyways, yeah.
So yeah, continuing on. What's happening next? They're all trying to get to some. Linda's trying to screw Paul, right? Is it Paul?
No. Annie is Paul because she has that god awful song that she sings.
Oh yeah.
I just like, oh man, every time. That is the one part that like every time I watch it, I'm like, because she's singing like. Like, will he call? Oh, my Paul, blah, blah, blah. And she's just singing about Paul. And I'm like, first off, the name Paul, like, stop.
On that note.
I can't. This is disgusting.
I'll walk out.
Yeah. And then, I'm like, man, that's the last thing you did before you were murdered.
Literally.
Was sing a terrible song about some prick
and you didn't even
named
get to him.
Paul.
And you didn't even get to him.
Yeah. And also, like, what?
So can
come
we
pick me up. No, bitch, she's babysitting. Walk your ass down there. It's a small town.
For real.
You can do something. Illinois? You can walk to the other side of Illinois.
I also thought, like, why
Just
did
kidding,
he
I don't know
need her to
geography.
go pick her up? But, yeah, can we also talk about Miss Annie? Because Nancy Loomis is her real name, the actor, or stage name at least, which is funny because Dr. Loomis is, the doctor. But her Lindsay, can you get this dog?
Yeah.
I hate this dog. Like, it was just kind of like, at times I'm like, who is she? And she's looking, I feel like she's looking dead at the camera too. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is kind of cringy.
Yeah.
That's all.
That whole scene is,
gosh.
She's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the poor dog. What's his name? Lester.
No. Lester. All I can think of
all the doggies get dead.
Oh, yeah,
Michael Myers has a thing for killing dogs.
Apparently he likes to eat them. Because Dr. Loomis at one point is like, he got hungry.
Yeah. Speaking of Loomis, though, a lot of Carpenter in this film was actually tied back in to my favorite, Psycho.
Dr. Loomis too in himself, though, his whole acting was really good comparatively to everyone else. He really carried this movie through and through because the movie kind of builds up a little slowly. Like it's paced pretty slowly.
Yeah, Pleasance does do a good job. He also, at one point, was supposed to have like a phone call with his wife. Like that was something Carpenter wanted.
Yeah.
And then Pleasance was like, I don't think this character should have a family or any sort of like real history. And I was like, ooh, that was good. That was a good
call.
pick. And I mean, Carpenter came in pretty much being like, yo, you do kind of whatever you want. Like, I'm just so glad you're here kind of thing. And, because so he really got to make a lot of his own calls.
And he really sells cool. the whole like crazed doctor, you know, just like whole vibe. Like he really does a good job at that, and also just like really building up this evil that you're supposed to think Michael Myers is, like really spooking you about it.
Exactly. Yes, he does. So Dr. Sam Loomis is Michael Myers' psychiatrist. Sam Loomis is also the name of Marion Crane's secret lover in Psycho. So Marion Crane was played by Jamie Lee Curtis's mother, Janet Lee. And so there's like all these little ties back to Psycho, which I was like, yay! But Annie is played by actress Nancy Kyes, who is credited as Nancy Loomis, like you were just saying earlier. The name Loomis was also used in Scream. But in addition to Psycho being a major influence for the name Marion, also major influence, the name Marion also makes an appearance in the movie as the nurse played by Nancy Stevens. And like Marion Crane and Sam Loomis, Marion Chambers is closely connected to Dr. Sam Loomis. So there's a bunch of like little
roundabouts, little connections
that makes it like this
fun little Easter eggs
quilt of everything
of a good fabrication.
Yeah. And so I was just like, yay, Psycho, because as I think I've mentioned on here before, Psycho was kind of the start, and it is one of my all-time favorite horror films. Absolutely love it.
Sure, well, it's a classic. You got to pay homage to the classics. A classic paying homage to a classic. Like, what is that?
Yeah. Well, literally. I mean, it is a 18-year removed.
Yeah.
Psycho is 1960.
Yeah.
So it is, at that point, Psycho was a classic.
Yeah.
And so now that we're this far in time, I guess it, now becomes a classic. Maybe that's why it's so good. Anyways. Yay.
So we're talking about Annie getting butchered, right? Not yet.
Not yet.
No. She's doing laundry. The fact that she got stuck in the windows.
Annie's character just cracks me up the whole time.
Yeah.
When, so my favorite, okay, yeah, well, I'll say this first. When Annie said, speed kills, and then he slams on the brake, I was just like, he really just said, nah, but I do. Like, literally. Bitch, hold on. You want to see something get killed?
He was getting her face
He's like,
down.
I'll get you later.
And then she's like, can't you take a joke?
No.
you know that wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
Sheriff's daughter.
Yeah. You're playing the part there.
Yeah.
And somehow Sheriff's doesn't smell all the weed in the car when they're driving around.
I'm like, how do you not smell that? I'm sure it was loud. I'm sure.
It had to have been. But I guess he had the other stuff on his mind. And it's probably not a good look for his daughter to be busted with weed.
And the fact, too, that, the hardware store robbery, and, what hardware store has Halloween masks?
Yeah.
William Shatner masks.
William Shatner Halloween masks.
Literally.
I guess this one. And, the things that were stolen, I'm like, this sounds like a murder. And he wasn't worried.
He's like, they just stole some rope and some knives.
Yeah. I'm like, it's like when someone comes through a grocery store line, buys a bunch of trash bags and bleach. You
literally.
Go,
cleaning up murder there, sir?
And a saw or something.
Literally.
You're like,
a shovel, rope, hand gloves.
This is someone you immediately call the police on. I don't care if you're doing some weird gardening. This looks odd.
Well, it is some formaldehyde.
Yeah, no.
Chloroform.
You call the police. And so, they're remarkably chill about, and then it's just funny that Loomis comes up at that time and is trying to be like, hey, when it's obviously this is probably who robbed this store.
There's a psycho patient who escaped and they're coming here.
And then he's also, because right before this, they were driving and Myers is casing them. He's following them.
Oh, yeah,
and so Myers is right there the whole time too, pretty much yo, what up? That was me.
Yeah.
Loomis is here looking for him, not looking hard enough.
At all. Because he's right under his nose everywhere.
And also he's driving around in a government-issued vehicle, the one that, he should be able to spot it.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I'm sure there's not that many of them in the town.
I can't imagine that Myers is some master.
Well, it's funny in the way they're he can't even drive. And he's like, well, someone here must have taught him how to drive.
There was a theory that all the times that he had to be transported for certain things that he just sat there and watched.
Observed.
And learned through observation, which I mean,
yeah.
yes.
I remember when I first learned how to drive, at least for me, I'm like, it wasn't that hard.
You know the basics.
Yeah, like push the gas. And the
Homeboy was speeding off. And I'll say, like, the first time I drove, I was like, 5 miles an hour is so fast.
Oh.
Now I'm like 90 or nothing.
I remember one of the first times my sister took me out to drive around our neighborhood. And I think the speed limit was like 30. And I was like, but there was a car behind us going like at least 35, 40. And she was like, speed up. And I'm like, well, the speed limit is 30. And I'm not going to go faster than that.
We
will not speed in this vehicle, not in my house. And then I remember she was like, no, you have to adjust to like the flow of traffic. Yeah. You can't just like, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Flash forward. And like now nobody in my family loves to drive with me because I go too fast.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. But he's like literally speeding off with the rain going on. And that is insane. Like, I mean, I guess it does.
That whole scene, honestly, too.
It's kind of entertaining because she's like, we just let him wander around now.
Yeah.
I was like,
Loomis is like, I know where he's going.
I feel like, I mean, honestly, I feel like I wouldn't be that shocked that they did just let him wander. Like, I feel like the actual how psychiatric hospitals are maintained, especially at that time period. Yeah. It was unlivable condition. So, like, honestly, the fact that they were wandering around in the rain, in the dark, and I'm sure what is cold because it's supposed to be Halloween in Illinois or something.
In the fall.
I'm assuming
it's still chilly. It's already chilly there.
Well, no, I know, but I'm not sure if that hospital was in Illinois. I guess it must have been. He said it was 150 miles away.
Yeah,
so I don't know how long Illinois is.
That should still be in the state, depending.
Maybe.
We'll see. Haddonfield is also fictional, so it can be wherever you want it to be.
That's true. But yeah, so I honestly wouldn't be that surprised that they were allowed to wander around. But like, because the way her inflection was and when she said it, it was kind of like, okay, we're doing this now too. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay.
Feed them dog food. Cool.
Clocking out. Bye.
Put them on like 12 of them into a 5-foot room. Sounds great.
I'm sure those were the conditions.
In order for him to actually break that window too, when he got it, they taped like a screw or like a wrench or something to his hand, and then painted it to match his skin, and so he actually does break that with his hand. But I think that is such a wonderful addition because, I mean, to break a window with one hand, especially a car window, it's showing and setting up for the fact of like how earthly strong he is, and really strong. Allows like my favorite murder of homeboy with the glasses.
Yeah, Why can't I remember Linda guy's name?
I don't know.
But yes,
that
is
murder,
iconic
and when he's lifted up and everything, it's awesome. And so like the fact that he does lift him up with one hand, and then also in the second movie when he stabs homegirl with the scalpel, lifts her up with one hand. Yeah, it all is like tied together with like how strong this guy is.
Yeah.
Like he can break a car window with his hand.
He can't die. I mean, he can literally do anything.
Punches through that door, which
he literally goes through.
It's kind of like a Shining.
In the second movie too, he goes through a whole glass door, like literally just walks through it. But yeah, no, definitely we're getting there. And he got stuck
maybe
in
his
the
name
washer.
Tommy. No, Tommy's the kid.
Tommy's the kid, yeah. So and he got stuck in the laundry room. She finally gets free. Then she's gonna go over to drop off Lindsay, right? To
yeah, because she's like pretty much like, here, Lindsay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna let Paul get his dick wet.
Literally. And
you watch this kid, even though I'm getting paid to watch them.
Yeah, I hope Lori got the cut.
Like, Lori better have gotten the cut. Because that's bullshit.
Girl Scout.
And she protected the daughter, too. So, like, Lori better got everything.
Literally.
Well, because they didn't have to pay Annie. She was dead. They lucked out.
Honestly. They're like, oh, well, we don't have to pay me the babysitter. She's died.
She's not here.
That is hilarious. Can you imagine
Annie
that,
getting
too?
stuck in a window. I was like, girl, how helpless are you?
Like, can you imagine the parents the next day, though? They're like,
Hi, I'm Hank. You might remember me from a show called King of the Hill. check out a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. These boys ain't right, but they are funny. Find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com. I tell you what.
Wait, her daughter got dead. Our daughter's dead, Lori. But why was Lindsay here in the first place?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, she's grounded from the grave.
They were doing it.
Oh my gosh.
That sex scene too was, yeah. So I guess we're on to the murders now.
Yeah. Let's talk about the murders. Let's talk about Annie's
the
murders.
main murders. So we've got the original of Judith Myers getting stabbed. Then there was the homeboy whose truck he robbed.
Yeah, and he stole his
outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that nice blue Carpenter suit.
It's
looking real good.
Mm-hmm.
Mechanical jumpsuit. Yep,
it is. At this point, literally, the silhouette, everything.
And so we've got that, and then now he's killed Annie by choking her out, and then she makes too much noise. So
he slits her throat.
Literally. Yeah, he's probably like, shut the fuck up about Paul.
Thinking also too, like,
this song sucks.
How did nobody hear that horn? Like,
yeah,
it was blaring
also,
very loudly.
The fact that the car was unlocked again, because she was like, oh, I gotta go find the keys. That's a whole reason she went back inside.
Yeah.
And then she comes back out, doesn't use the key on the car. The door's already unlocked. I would have been like,
this is sus.
But maybe I'm just an overly paranoid person.
Well, you watch a lot of scary movies.
Yeah. And I listen to a lot of true crime, so I would have been like, no. Mm-mm. Also, like, pot shattering and then getting locked. Oh my, okay, we'll get to the locked doors, because that really, with Lori at the end, I was just like, Jesus Christ, get out of there. But Annie dies. That's dead.
Fun. The face that she makes, if you haven't seen this movie, you gotta watch it, because the acting in the face that she's like,
yeah,
literally.
The chokes are very fun, and her eyes rolling back in her head, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fun.
Take the overacting school by Annie.
I love it.
It's great.
I was there for it.
She sold it.
It was a good time.
And then we transitioned from that lovely little scene to back to Lori, right? No, Linda.
Well, Linda, so pretty much the next thing, the major thing that happens is Linda and whatever homeboy's name is with the glasses guy are getting it on the couch. And I'll say, like, I have definitely done it. And I was like, I was pet sitting for someone. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, people have cameras. And so I'm like, I hope these parents don't know that it was like my friend's house, and her parents were away. I slept with someone on their bed. And so I'm like,
as one should.
God. But I'm like, I can't blame what's her face for doing this, because I've done the same exact thing. Granted, I was in college, not high school, but she does it. They go do it for an underwhelming sex scene, which is just a bunch of, like, honestly, I feel like she's kind of flailing.
Yeah.
And then making the most obnoxious moans. And then he just kind of rolls over.
And it's like, yeah.
He looked so uninterested. I was like, dude, like, we got one shot of her titty. It looked like it was a good titty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
Real perky. And then he just is like, but then when he gets up, he's like, don't get dressed. And I'm like, oh, okay, you are interested.
Well, and he makes the cardinal rule that Randy makes in the Scream movie.
Says, I'll be back.
He said, I'll be back.
And no, you won't, bitch.
You will not be back, sir.
You're going to be dead.
So, is his name Bob?
Maybe.
I think his name was Bob.
Ew, Paul and Bob. What awful names.
It was Bob.
I hate this for all of the characters involved.
Bob deserved it.
Anyways, Bob goes downstairs. I think it is Bob, yeah.
Yeah.
He gets stabbed. The best kill, in my opinion, in this movie. That was awesome. I really loved it. He's impaled. The way that he looks and is just hanging is insane. It's so cool.
The silhouette of the knife.
And
his
I
body.
love when his toes go slack from, like, the curled, clenched position. Tension. And then it's like, and it's like, what a beautiful and subtle way to show. For a slasher, there's a surprising lack of blood.
There is,
and I love it.
You don't really get to see the actual, like, killing
kind of like
an action. It's because the tones of like the darkness in the movie too, and the shadowing and all of that.
That was because they couldn't afford extra
Good
lights,
lightings, yeah.
which is just that cracked me. They're like, the darkness of the film is out of necessity because we couldn't afford more lights. And I'm just like, I love it.
I'm like, literally adds to it though, because it really does leave. And I guess too, even back then, you know, because the whole movie takes place in like this suburban little town, and that's what added to the fear back then. Is like, this could happen to any of us. It could happen in our little town.
And well, at this point in time, people were leaving their doors unlocked and stuff, and
sending
like
a
lot of actual murders were happening.
Just go
like this.
Trick or treat, because at that point everybody's like, I trust my neighbor, I trust y'all. Like, no, you cannot trust your neighbor.
If you are in a suburban little community, your neighbor is a serial killer.
Literally.
The odds
one in
are
at least 10 of them.
This is scientific. I have conducted experiments. Your neighbor's a serial killer.
Knocked door to door, basement to basement.
Have you killed anyone today? No? Great.
Suspicious.
Move along.
Marks them down. He lied.
There's a lot of scratch marks on your basement door.
Blinked 3 times. Too many. Oh, man. But yeah, so yeah, of course. So it was really scary for like people to think of like, man, there's this boogeyman coming around killing our babysitters.
And he could be right there and be already in your house, which was what essentially happened. And then
oh yeah, and the fact that like so what we're talking about Bob gets shanked and hooked on the wall. Oh, the head tilt, the classic little head tilt.
Yes, which was like one of the few directions that Carpenter gave because Castle had asked a few times and was like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Like, do you have anything? And he's like, I want you to walk from this set mark to that set mark. And he's pretty much just like, just fucking walk.
Yeah.
But the head tilt is one of the few instructions that Carpenter gave and was like, make it look like you're looking at a dead corpse.
Yeah, like and you're appreciating what you just did. Like,
so that head tilt is...
He's almost admiring his own kill. He's like, damn, that looks good.
Good job. He's like, I know I just made one of the best deaths.
It's going to be talked about for a long time.
Yeah.
Literally.
He was like, I A+. I done did well.
He's like, I didn't have to eat it up that hard. And so then we move on to...
But I fucking love what he does. And he puts on the bedsheet with the glasses.
Ghost Michael Myers.
I love it.
Literally.
I'm just like, that is... I kind of want to dress up as like that. That would be such an easy Halloween costume. Like, not only is Michael Myers an easy Halloween costume, but that one, it would be a very, like, niche.
You can do that, and I'll be Linda, and you can kill me all night with we'll find a little cord.
You have your titties out. And then, yeah, that it is funny, like, that literally Jamie Lee Curtis is hearing her get murdered.
Yeah.
But it does sound like she's mowing.
Sounds like very heavy petting, like... And also too, I'm like, who's getting murdered like that? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, honestly, Annie sounded a little sexual with hers as well.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I mean,
maybe that's a kink. Some people are into that.
I am.
You heard it here, folks. Heard it here first. Oh man, I love that for you. I love that for us. And so yeah, so they're all getting murdered, sounding like
that was my geek though. Like, not only getting choked, but like you specifically have to be dressed up in a bed sheet with glasses.
Literally. Oh my gosh, put it on all the qualifications. Get out of here if not. Guys, suitors, if you're listening, interested in Caitlin,
I mean, he really had an opportunity to sleep with a great girl, like just pretending and.
The way too that she was just
he
like
just went and killed him. He was not interested in the pussy.
She really thought it was Bob too. She was like
what you see, and he was like, "Not really. I'm gonna kill you."
She was ready to give it up again. And then yeah, so Laurie's listening to her just getting strangled, killed.
Actually did
murdered,
and then he comes on with this heavy breathing.
Literally. And at that point, I'm like, what do you think? Like, what do you do? Like, I don't know what I don't know. I'm like, this is fake. Because, at that point, she still thought, like, y'all are pranking me. It's Halloween, But also, too.
Well, yeah. I mean, with moans like that, eventually she goes, hey, are you okay? Yeah. Like, and because she's like, what the fuck? This is, like, you're going a little far.
Yeah.
And then with the breathing, she's like, oh, okay, something's not right. Yeah. And she finally puts 2 and 2 together. But without how shitty her friends have been and been the whole time, like, it seems totally on brand for them to call her
and
moaning.
Do those kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can see that.
Because already earlier, Annie had called and was chewing in the phone.
Yeah.
And then she calls back and she's like, why'd you hang up on me?
Something about her mom. She didn't want her mom to hear her or something, right?
Well, she was just eating.
Oh, okay.
And she was just like, well, you weren't talking. She was like, you couldn't tell it was me? And she was like, no, you were, all I heard was chewing.
This is before caller ID. Like, no, I didn't know it was you.
I was just like, okay, yeah. So she's already had an instance with her friends kind of being dicking dicks around. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
But the fact on her, though, good for her being a good friend still. Like, I'm going to go check up on these people. Because, like, you know, something's off.
So she goes over and she finds, okay, the whole setup with Judith Myers
literally is
like, that's so dramatic. And he really worked on it.
The thought process, the way that Annie is just displayed out in front of it. Like a Madonna. Yeah. And then, and then she...
It really, I feel like, added more depth to why he came back, but then also... Well, because... Also not, like, I feel like it kind of... There was a lack of explanation there as to why he...
A lot of it
chose to do that, but then also killed other people. If he was just wanting to reenact it, you think he would have stopped at the end.
Yeah, because that would have been enough. But maybe because he saw Laurie at the house earlier in the film, he's like, no, I want her to be like the Judith of this, because it really is like, well, until later you find out in the second movie, spoiler alert, some things kind of tie them together, but at this point it is just like random killing, or it's him actually just trying to kind of commemorate like what he did all those years prior. Yeah
I just feel like he should have done it either more as a copycat murder, essentially, and or if he really wanted Laurie, I feel like he shouldn't have
murdered everyone else.
Well, he wouldn't have set up Annie like that.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
With like, he would have maybe had the bed empty with Judith's headstone. Judith's headstone. I don't know what I said. Yeah. Anyways,
Judith's
ready.
Judith. That sounds like a band.
Judith's. Ready to put her in that spot, like it, almost like a Phantom of the Opera kind of, like you've prepared.
Well, because it really gives
and really idealized this moment, and you've prepared it just exactly. Like, why else?
Meticulously, and it really gives more to like this person is thinking about what they're doing, whereas before in the movie you really don't get this like thought behind the mask. You just really see a killing machine. There's no conscious, there's no really like,
I feel like for me this isn't not well, like I feel like this is a bit of a plot hole, because again
it goes antithesis of what else of everything what the movie was going for.
He's obviously just pure evil. Yeah, pure evil. There's but like why bring back Judith, and why, like, if you were just gonna, again, because I feel like he should have stopped there if that was the case. So I don't know. But we have all this fun chasing scene.
Oh, and then, but before that, opening the closet door. Oh, and there's Bob. And then Linda.
With her face. Jesus. That was so over dramatic. I love it. It was.
Well, then it's just
I'm pretty sure I laughed during all that. I'm just like.
Oh, I did see rewatching it. Because it's like. You just go over and you find all
boys like swinging.
Yes. Well, and then also too, that goes into showing just like how like Michael really set this shit up.
He did,
like, because he literally took those bodies from other places and put them there
and positioned them.
Literally, yeah. And how did he know that she was going to open up the closet door? How did he know, or whoever?
Well, I don't think she even really tried to open it. I think his body swung out. Yeah,
that was like a timer
on
that then.
And then the cabinet door opens on its own.
Because that's what we do in scary movies.
Yep. It doesn't have to be logical. And then it scares her into a corner where then she finally is met face to face.
When he comes out of the shadows. Oh, which is such a good scene.
It is.
Like, honestly.
All of his little areas, like when Annie is in the washroom doing her clothes, there's one scene where, you know, she's just kind of standing there, and right through the back little window, he's watching. And it adds like all these little tidbits where he's just sitting there observing. It's like, ugh.
It really
adds
like,
to the creep factor.
The creep. It really gives you that he's really like a predator, like preying on these, like, and he's savoring it because he's not just like, he could have killed them at any moment.
He could have killed them at least 30 times by now.
Yeah, but
like they were so exposed.
Also, too, I feel like he really got that kick too out of Laurie seeing him and like kind of terrorizing her in that way. And
it's in that sense, yes, very is meticulous, and he's yeah, exactly. He's got a plan, and he's like making himself real fucking creepy.
And then we get we're getting to the climax, Laurie versus Michael Myers.
Okay, first off, doors typically can be unlocked because it's not like that last door she tries to get out of. Okay, she goes down the stairs first off after.
Can I just admire what you said? Doors can typically be unlocked. Like, I love that. Put that on a shirt.
Doors can typically be unlocked.
Okay, go.
But she gets down the stairs after falling down the fucking stairs. She should have been dead from that.
Oh.
Falling over the banister.
Yes.
Yes.
When I saw that, I was like, how is this girl not broken?
How is this bitch alive?
Literally, should have snapped her neck at that point.
It should have. And all she had was a little bit of a bum leg.
Yeah.
And her blouse from JCPenney was ripped. And she's cut open on the shoulder a bit. Oh. But she's going down the stairs. And she can't open this front door. And I'm like, bitch, you are on the inside.
You literally have control over it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have the option to unlock this door. She runs to the back door as well. And it's not like, because then I thought, well, maybe he's got it secured from the outside. Yeah. But she breaks through the window finally and unlocks it. And so I'm like, no one has locks on the outside of the door because that is counterintuitive.
Yeah, because then anybody could get
someone in your house. Yeah. So the fact that, like, the last door of the house, and she's like, I can't find the key. Yes, like, I understand that one. But getting out of that house, I was like, girl.
It should not have been that
it's
way.
right there. Flip the deadbolt. Like,
literally.
You got this. And then those assholes of a neighbor. She's screaming bloody murder.
Nothing.
So, yeah, those dickholes of a neighbor didn't help. Mm-hmm. She's screaming bloody murder. It's Halloween night. There should have been more people out.
Well, it's funny,
a little bit worried.
Watching, like, I'm thinking, like, where are the parents going? Like,
they're at their Halloween party.
Yeah. Like, all these parents are out because there's babysitters out babysitting all around town, I'm sure.
They're like, fuck you, little kids. I'm not taking you trick-or-treating. Yeah. We're going to go
and I guess apparently
have our Halloween party.
Like, I never got to really trick-or-treat as a kid.
Oh, that's so sad. I'm sorry.
I know. The first time I got to trick-or-treating this year. Yeah, was, like, I would think I was a senior in high school. My friends went with me. But so I guess back then you would go early, like the kids would go at like 5, like daylight.
Because she saw people as she was getting home from school.
Yeah,
and that is true. Okay. Like, occasionally I think we would go. We'd go pretty early, but it was always still dark.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I mean, a lot of the times it's on a school night, so we had to be done by like 9.
Okay.
And so we could go to school the next day.
I always like imagine, because you watch movies, like I just imagine Halloween nighttime, and then it's just really a juxtaposition to see like, well, the kids are actually trick or treating. They're in broad daylight.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It is definitely a lot of the times they'll do it just so it's safer. But unfortunately for Jamie Lee Curtis, that kind of fucked her over. This time, because no one was out as she's screaming bloody murder, help me, which I have to appreciate her screams there. This is her debut.
Yeah.
And she's really doing
Scream Queen.
She's doing a good job. That, like, please God, somebody help me. Those screams are nice. Now, some of her other wailing and whimpering, I'm like, girl, shut the fuck up.
Some of it was
He's
a little whiny.
Find you.
Yeah.
Like,
a little whiny.
What are you doing? But
she actually, too, I believe whenever she rewatched it, Jamie Lee Curtis, she was not like happy with her performance.
Oh no,
yeah,
she was like, even from day one, she wasn't happy.
Yeah.
She got a phone call from Carpenter that night, was expecting him to be like,
"You're fired.
You're fired."
Yeah,
she thought she was going to get fired after her first day. He actually really loved her performance. Yeah, he called her and was like, "This was great." It probably also did have to do with the fact that who her mother was and stuff, but. I mean, I think overall her acting was really solid.
Out of all of the actors and actresses, her and Donald Pleasance, they really sold the movie together.
I was watching it and I was like, is it possible to get worse with more experience? Because I was like, Jamie Lee Curtis now, not one of my faves. But her in that film, she did a really great job in a lot of
nowadays. So
a lot of the scenes. She wasn't perfect the whole time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think. Her characters in later movies are kind of it's Jamie Lee. It's not really the character. If that makes sense, Yeah.
And she really, she did a good job of taking on this role.
Yeah.
But then she gets in the house, and all of a sudden, the phone line's cut. Michael's thought this far ahead. Mm-hmm. She can't call no one. And then he's in the house, and she stabs him with a knitting needle. And she's like, I killed him. And I'm like, bitch.
It's a knitting needle.
It's a knitting needle. Yeah.
In the neck, nonetheless.
That's not going to kill anyone. He goes down surprisingly easy, I will say.
It's a cop-out. It's a fake-out.
Yeah. And he gets up, and then Tommy's like, bitch, you can't kill a boogeyman?
Yeah.
Like,
I love how she's like, we're safe now.
Yeah, she's like, I killed him. And he's like,
no.
I don't think you did. Also,
he's right there.
He's right behind us.
Literally.
And she's like, get in the closet, lock the door. And then she tries to make it look like she jumped out the window, which was pretty fucking smart. Yeah. But like also maybe you should have just done that.
Yeah, honestly.
Because he's also really slow.
And also screw those kids.
He gives them time to like run.
Yeah.
Honestly, if she would have just ran away,
probably would have been fine.
Probably would have
End of the movie
fine.
right there.
Yep.
Start the credits.
Because he just walks. He doesn't chase.
Yeah.
He's just like, dum, dum, dum. He's just stalking.
But somehow he's always right behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, right there.
And then
supernatural stuff.
We have the closet scene where she
iconic
is whimpering too loudly.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, come for your man.
Obviously.
He's gonna find you.
And then he just starts shaking the closet violently.
Mm-hmm. And then a coat hanger, the wire hanger comes in handy. There's what is it, Mommy Dearest?
Mommy Dearest.
No wire hangers. And I was like, haha, bitch, now it came in handy.
Yeah,
it helps you kill people. So she stabs him, didn't kill him. Again, down surprisingly easy.
Yeah.
And
for someone with such brute strength and evil.
Yeah. He really just goes right down. And then I have to laugh at how he's positioned on the ground afterwards. Because you imagine if he was to slump from the pain or the shock of being stabbed in the eye is what it was, right? I think it's where she got him. Yeah. You wouldn't just lay like a stick figure on the ground. You would be like crumpled, you know?
And then the way he just like...
He sits up. Yeah. It's like a vampire, like, old school coming out of a coffin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the way he stands up too. It is almost like his body is, like a puppet, or it's like being possessed and coming up. So I guess which can tie back into like a supernatural kind of vibe that he gives. Ghostly, paranormal, what his entire existence doesn't really make sense.
Just the full embodiment of evil.
And then homeboy comes in, Loomis, shoots him like 5 times.
5 times.
In the face.
Everywhere.
All of his shoulders. He falls off this balcony.
Falls back.
Yep. And then you're like, oh, that bitch dead.
The boogeyman. Was that the boogeyman?
Yes. And yes, it was. That's not what he said, but
something like that.
But
subtext.
Close enough. And then you look out the window and dun dun dun, he's gone. Everyone's still surprisingly chill though that this fucking now serial killer is on the loose. Yikes.
Yeah, it really is just, it gives you that like sense of like, well, shit, here we go again.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to leave it open for a sequel.
Oh yeah,
it really is a fantastic. I like that ending quite a bit.
Even if they never imagine if they never would have came up with any sequels or anything after that, like what a great way to just end the movie, because you really gives you that unsettling, like there's no resolution. Like,
exactly.
He's still there. Whatever happened to Lori? Like what happened to all these people? Who'd he kill next?
I love open-ended things like that. Like ones that, now not that this is like a unreliable narrator, but like one of those ones that where you end and you're like, wait, what happened? Like what is actually going on? Yeah. I just love that. But yeah, so that's the movie. There's so many fun facts that can be said about this. I think we covered a lot of them.
Yeah, we put some good tidbits in there.
But yeah, you can literally found all the stabbing sound effects were from a knife stabbing a watermelon. Isn't that kind of fun?
Yeah, that's really fun.
I do like all the ways that people make the little sounds. I think we've talked about that. Yep. And stab it.
Yes.
You can really relive it.
Not me being a murderer.
Yep.
But yeah, I love it. Are we ready to rate? Are we giving booze?
Giving booze. Time to boo it. What do you say?
I'm gonna give this a solid 4.
I think that's about where I have to land.
A 4 out of 5. If you're just listening.
I also thought 3.8 this morning while I was showering.
Yeah.
I thought
I feel that.
It holds a place. Like, obviously, it's a classic. I love it. For $300,000, they did a fucking bang up job.
Really?
Like, I gotta applaud the dedication of painting leaves and moving them to another
process.
And the fact that
they gave me 300,000 reasons to stay.
Yeah. They said they had trouble finding pumpkins because it was spring in California, and so there's really only like
there's like
two pumpkins. One gets smushed
literally
by those dickhole kids yelling "The boogeyman, the boogeyman!" Man, ooh, I would have punched those kids so fast in the face. Poor Tommy. He just wanted to carve his little pumpkin.
Literally,
they were so mean.
He just wanted to have fun with Lori.
But yeah, I think I'll do 3.8.
3.8.
I do really like this film.
Solid booze, yeah.
But
it's a catalyst. It started a whole lineage of movies. It inspired so much more.
This is definitely the best one.
Boofs, yeah.
Of them, in my opinion. I don't know. I guess we need to see this 2020 version.
I honestly have
I haven't seen this new one.
A love for Halloween 2 as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people give it flack, I think, sometimes. But I really like also, too, how Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 are really more or less like one whole thing, just split up. Because it takes...
It continues the storyline,
which we will be talking about.
We will eventually.
Eventually. But it's really fun to cover this one. This is really great.
It is. It's a classic. You have to watch it for. I've played many a drinking games to this on Halloween night, as it plays in the background of a Halloween party.
Yeah.
It was fun. I don't remember. It was like anytime he killed someone, anytime he showed up out of nowhere, anytime someone had a fun, lovely death scene. Yeah, you took a drink. Really, it was just like, you can drink the whole movie.
We should we should come up with some drinking games for slasher films.
Oh, yes. That would be good. 4 for you, 3.8 booze for me. This is John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween.
Anyways, thanks for listening, you guys.
As always, we're in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios. Yes. They're doing all this, and they do it great. We love them. They make us sound good.
Yeah, they do, and they make a whole lot of other people sound good, too. So make sure you're checking out all the shows on Rogue Media Network.
That's right. There's lots of fun ones. You can find us on social media, the only one being Instagram.
Literally, but, we're working on that.
And it
at
is
BooBaes Podcast.
That's right.
All one word, at BooBaes Podcast.
You can also find us and listen to us, because that's really what helps, on pretty much all of the streaming platforms you could ever want.
Yeah.
So we got Apple Podcasts, the OG.
We got Spotify Podcasts.
We've also got like Google Play,
Stitcher,
Pandora, all of those things.
Everything.
You can really find us anywhere.
Yeah.
But don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. Leave 5 stars. Come join us on our horror film. Love it. Anyways.
I think we're signing off, right? Bye, babes.
That's all, folks. Bye, babes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast. Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hi, I'm Hank. You might remember me from a show called King of the Hill. Check out a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. These boys ain't right, but they are funny. Find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com. I tell you what.